Today, I want to tell you about 5 fruits that can help switch your own stem cells back on. The cells that let your body regenerate from the inside out. The cells that repair the quiet damage age has been leaving behind for years. Those 5 fruits are black raspberries, blueberries, strawberries, mango, and prunes. I've spent 15 years in internal medicine, and I see the same thing over and over again. People over 60 doing everything they are told and still feeling like their body has stopped bouncing back the way it used to. The cut on your hand takes a week longer to close. The cold that used to last 3 days now hangs on for 2 weeks. You stand up from the garden and your knees file a complaint. That slowdown has a name and a cause, and by the end of this video, you will know exactly which of these 5 fruits I rank number 1, how much to eat, and why most people walk straight past all 5 of them in the grocery store every single week. One quick thing before we start. If you are in your 60s or you can see 60 coming, and what you really want is to live longer, stronger, and healthier with a body that still does what you ask of it, I took everything I tell my own patients and put it into one simple plan. It has already helped thousands of people get their energy, their movement, and their confidence back after 60. The link is sitting on your screen right now. You don't need to write anything down. Just go and have a look once we are finished here. So first, I need to tell you what a stem cell actually is. Because once you understand this one idea, everything else in this video falls into place. A stem cell is a blank human cell. It has not decided what it wants to be yet. Every other cell in your body has a job. A skin cell is locked in as a skin cell. A liver cell is a liver cell for life. A stem cell is different. It can do 2 things almost nothing else in your body can do. It can copy itself, making more stem cells, and it can transform into whatever specialized cell the body is short on that day. A fresh skin cell to close a wound, a red blood cell, a replacement for the lining of your gut, a bone cell where an old one wore out. That makes your stem cells your personal repair crew. You have them tucked away in your bone marrow, in the lining of your intestines, in your skin, even in a small corner of your brain. Every single day, without you ever thinking about it, that crew is replacing cells that have worn out. You shed and rebuild the entire lining of your gut in under a week. Your skin turns over about once a month. The crew never sleeps, and the body's power to rebuild is bigger than most people realize. Your liver is the clearest example. A surgeon can remove more than half of a healthy liver, and over the following weeks, it will regrow back toward its original size. That regrowth runs on the same engine we are talking about today. The whole reason you do not heal like that everywhere, the whole reason a knee or a heart does not bounce back the way a liver does, comes down to how many active stem cells sit in that tissue and how well they are supported. Support them and you tilt the odds toward repair. Here is where age comes in, and this is the part your doctor never has time to explain in a 12-minute visit. As you get older, 2 things happen to that repair crew, and they happen quietly. The first is that the crew shrinks and slows down. Scientists who study aging have a formal name for this. In a landmark 2013 paper in the journal Cell, a group of researchers laid out the core biological reasons we age, and one of them is stem cell exhaustion. Your stem cells get fewer in number, and the ones you have left get sluggish. They do not divide as eagerly. They do not answer the call as fast. So a scrape that would have closed in a few days when you were 40 can drag on for a couple of weeks at 70. The second thing is that broken down cells start to pile up. The medical term is sessile cells, and a lot of researchers now just call them zombie cells because they are too damaged to do their job anymore, and yet they refuse to die off the way a worn-out cell should. And they are far from harmless. They sit there in your tissues leaking inflammatory signals, a low-grade inflammation that irritates everything around them and crowds out the healthy stem cells trying to do repair. One zombie cell can turn the cells next to it into zombies too. So you end up with a slower, smaller repair crew trying to work in a tissue that is quietly on fire. That combination is a huge part of what aging actually is on the inside, and you feel it in ways you have probably already noticed. The bruise that sits on your arm for 3 weeks, the way you used to shrug off a head cold and now it knocks you flat for days. The small surgery your sister-in-law bounced back from at 50 that took you twice as long at 68. There is a real physical reason for all of it. Your repair system is running short of crew, and it is working in a tissue environment that is slowly turned against it. Now the cancer piece. Cancer stripped all the way down is a cell that has lost its brakes and will not stop dividing. Your healthy cells are under tight control. They divide when they are told to, and they stop when they are told to. A cancer cell ignores both signals. And it turns out that the very same plant compounds that help your good stem cells stay vigorous also help your body police the cells that start to go rogue. So protecting your repair crew and lowering your cancer risk are two ends of the same rope. Pull one and the other comes with it. That is why these 5 fruits matter so much after 60. This is the difference between recovering from a fall or a bad flu in days instead of weeks. The difference between a bone scan that holds steady and one that drops a little every year. Feed the repair crew and it keeps showing up for work. Starve it and the slowdown wins. Quick favor before we count them down. If a doctor is sitting down and explaining what is actually happening inside your body without rushing you and without trying to sell you a pill is something you want more of, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and tell me your age down in the comments. I read them, and the age of the people watching genuinely shapes which topics I cover next. So, let's count down the 5, starting at number 5 and building to the one I would hand to every single one of my own patients if I could. Number 5 is one most people will laugh at, and that is exactly why it makes the list. Prunes, dried plums, the fruit everyone over 60 associates with one job and one job only, keeping you regular. Ignore that reputation for a minute because the science on prunes and your repair system is genuinely impressive, and skipping them is a mistake. Let me give you the stakes. After 60, one of the single events most likely to end a person's independence is a broken hip. It puts people in a wheelchair, then in a spare room at their daughter's house, and many never walk unaided again. And bone loss is silent. You do not feel your bones thinning year after year until the day one of them gives way. This is where prunes earn their spot. Researchers at Penn State ran a controlled trial published in 2022 following postmenopausal women for a full year. One group ate about 5 to 6 prunes a day. The other group ate none. At the end of the year, the women eating prunes had preserved the bone mineral density in their hip, while the no prune group kept losing it right on the expected downward slope. The mechanism is the part that ties back to your stem cells. Prunes are loaded with polyphenols, which are protective plant compounds, and those polyphenols lower oxidative stress and inflammation inside the bone. Oxidative stress is just the wear and tear damage that builds up in a cell over time, a bit like rust. Calm that down and your osteoblasts, the bone-building cells, can keep laying down fresh bone instead of falling behind. And remember, where a huge share of your stem cells actually live, your bone marrow, the soft center of your bones, is the headquarters for the cells that make your blood and a lot of your repair tissue. Protect the bone, and you protect the building those cells live in. So when I tell a patient to eat prunes, the real goal sitting in the back of my mind is keeping them on their own 2 feet at 85. 5 or 6 prunes a day. Keep them somewhere you will actually see them. That is the whole prescription. Number 4 is mango. And mango earns its place for 2 separate reasons, which is unusual for a single fruit. Most people write mango off as a sugary tropical treat, something to feel a little guilty about. That reputation is costing them because mango is doing real work at the cellular level. And just so you know where we are headed, we are now halfway through the countdown. And the top 3 are where the science on actually rebuilding your repair crew gets strongest. Stay with me because number 1 is the fruit almost nobody in this country eats, and it is the one I would put ahead of all the others. The reason most people miss is what mango does deep in the cell. Researchers at Texas A&M University have spent years studying the polyphenols in mango compounds with names like gallotannins and mangiferin. Mangiferin is just a particular plant polyphenol that happens to be concentrated in mango. In their laboratory work, mango polyphenols slowed the growth of colon and breast cancer cells and pushed those cells back toward the normal checkpoints in the cell cycle. The cell cycle is the step-by-step process every cell goes through before it divides, and it has built-in stop and checkpoints. A cancer cell speeds through them. Those mango compounds helped force the cells to stop and be checked. The second reason is inflammation. The same Texas and M group found in human work that mango helped calm inflammation in the gut. And that matters for your stem cells directly because the chronic low-grade inflammation we talked about earlier is one of the main things that holds your repair crew back. Lower the inflammation and you give your stem cells a cleaner place to work. On top of all that, mango is one of the better fruit sources of vitamin A and vitamin C, two raw materials your body burns through constantly when it is repairing tissue. Vitamin C alone is something your body cannot build collagen without, and collagen is a scaffolding your stem cells lay new tissue onto. So mango is feeding the crew and calming the fire at the same time. Half a mango a day, fresh or frozen, does the job. Frozen mango is cheap year-round, and a good trick is to blend it into a morning smoothie with some of the berries we are about to talk about. So you get several of these fruits in a single glass. Number 3 is strawberries. And this is the one that genuinely surprised me when I first read the research because it goes after those zombie cells I told you about. Remember the skincescent cells? The broken down cells that will not die and sit there leaking inflammation, crowding out your good stem cells. For a long time, there was nothing you could do about them. Now, there is a whole field of research into compounds that can help clear them out. And those compounds have a name: senolytics. Enolytic is something that helps your body sweep away sessile cells, so fresh, healthy cells have room to take over. Strawberries are the richest food source of one of the most studied senolytics we know of. It is a flavonoid called phacetin. Researchers at the Mayo Clinic published work back around 2018 showing that phacetin acted as a senolytic in aging mice. It cleared out a meaningful share of their zombie cells, lowered their inflammation, and extended how long the animals stayed healthy and active. What researchers call health span, the years you stay well rather than simply alive. Think about what that means for your repair crew. Every zombie cell you clear is space and resources freed up for a real stem cell to move in and do the work. You are clearing the dead wood so the new growth has somewhere to go. Now, I want to be straight with you about the dose. The Mayo Clinic work used concentrated facet, far more than you get from a bowl of strawberries, and the dramatic results were in mice, with human trials still underway. A bowl of berries is not a research dose, and I would never tell you otherwise. But strawberries are still the single richest food on the planet for a compound that serious longevity scientists are studying for exactly this purpose, and that alone earns them a regular spot in your week. Strawberries also carry ellagic acid, the same family of cancer protective compound we are about to talk about with the number 1 fruit. A cup of strawberries a day, fresh or frozen, and you are helping take out the trash that has been jamming up your regeneration for years. Number 2, and this one is the headline act when it comes to the word in our title: regrow blueberries. Of all 5 fruits, blueberries have the most direct research behind the idea of actually helping stem cells multiply. Scientists at the University of South Florida, led by a researcher named Paula Bickford, have studied blueberry compounds for years, specifically their effect on stem cell proliferation. Proliferation just means the cells multiplying, making more of themselves. In their laboratory and animal work, blueberry compounds promoted the proliferation of stem cells in the bone marrow. And in aged animals, blueberry in the diet was linked to more new brain cells being born in the memory center of the brain. The compounds doing the heavy lifting are the anthocyanins, which are the deep blue-purple pigments, and a cousin compound called pterostelline. Pterostelline is a close relative of resveratrol, the compound people talk about in red wine, except your body absorbs pterostelline far more easily. These compounds lower inflammation and oxidative stress around your stem cells, and that protected environment is what lets the crew actually expand its numbers instead of shrinking. And here is why that brain finding should matter to you. The part of the brain where those new cells were being born is the hippocampus, your memory center. And it is one of the very few places in the adult brain that can still grow fresh neurons. For a lot of my patients over 60, the deepest fear of all is losing their mind, watching a parent disappear into dementia, and lying awake wondering if they are next. A fruit that supports the birth of new cells in the memory center is speaking directly to that fear. This is why a daily handful of blueberries is one of the highest value habits I know of for someone over 60. It is cheap, it is everywhere, frozen works just as well as fresh, and it speaks directly to the repair system that age has been slowly winding down. Half a cup to a cup a day. Throw them on oatmeal, stir them into plain yogurt, eat them by the handful. There is no wrong way to do it. And number 1, the one I would put on every kitchen counter in the country if I could: black raspberries. Now listen carefully because this matters at the store. I am talking about black raspberries specifically. They are their own distinct fruit, darker and far richer in the protective compounds than the common red raspberry or the blackberry you usually see in the produce aisle. Mix them up and you will not get the same effect. So it is worth knowing the difference. They are harder to find, and there is a reason they are worth hunting down. Black raspberries take the number one spot because they do both jobs on our list better than anything else, with the strongest track record in actual human beings. The cancer research here is decades deep. A researcher at Ohio State University named Gary Stoner spent much of his career studying freeze-dried black raspberries. In people who already had precancerous changes in the esophagus and in the colon, the kind of changes that can turn into cancer over time, black raspberries were associated with fewer and smaller precancerous lesions. That is real human chemoprevention work, not a test tube. The mechanism is beautiful, and it pays off the word starve in our title. Black raspberries are extremely high in anthocyanins and in ellagic acid. Those compounds do two things to early rogue cells. They help switch the body's own tumor suppressor housekeeping back on, the natural cleanup that tells a damaged cell to shut itself down. And they help cut off angiogenesis. Angiogenesis is the process where an early tumor builds its own private network of new blood vessels to feed itself. Choke off that blood supply and you starve the abnormal cells of the fuel they need to grow. At the very same time, those anthocyanins are protecting and supporting your healthy stem cells. One fruit, both ends of the rope. Now, finding them is the catch. You will rarely see fresh black raspberries in a regular supermarket because they do not ship or store well. Look for them frozen, which keeps every bit of the goodness, or buy them as a freeze-dried powder, which is actually how the Ohio State researchers gave them to patients. A heaped spoon of that powder stirred into yogurt, oatmeal, or a smoothie a few times a week is plenty. A little goes a long way because the compounds are so concentrated. Out of all 5 fruits, this is the one most people in this country have never even tried, and it is the one I would reach for first. Let me make this real for you with a patient. I will call her Ruth, and Ruth is a composite drawn from many people I have seen, so I am not sharing anyone's private details. Ruth came to me at 67, tired in a way she could not shake, recovering slowly from everything: a chest cold, a pulled muscle, a small surgery. And she was frightened because her mother had colon cancer, and Ruth had started lying awake doing the math on her own body. We did not do anything dramatic. I asked her to put a bowl together most days, mixed berries, including black raspberries when she could get them, a few prunes, some mango through the week, eaten with a little yogurt. That was the core of it. Over the following months, the tiredness lifted. She told me she felt like she had her engine back, that she was sleeping better and getting up off the floor with her grandkids without that little groan. Her next colonoscopy came back clean, and the inflammation markers in her blood work came down. Now, I want to be careful and honest with you about what that does and does not mean. Ruth's body did all the healing here. All the fruit did was hand her repair crew the raw materials it had been missing for years and take some of the inflammation off its back. There was no magic in it. That is the whole game. You cannot make new stem cells out of nothing. And this is the moment someone in the comments always asks. So, let me answer it now. Why not just take a pill? There are anthocyanin capsules and ficodin supplements and taro-style bean tablets on every shelf, and they are not cheap. The honest answer is that the research that excites me was done on the whole fruit, or on extracts of the whole fruit, where dozens of these compounds work together. Pull one molecule out, put it in a capsule, and you are betting that the single molecule was the whole story when the science says the magic is in the combination. A bag of frozen berries costs a few dollars and gives you all of it. What makes these foods so powerful is that they deliver far more than a single nutrient. They come packaged with fiber, vitamins, minerals, and a full orchestra of polyphenols working together in ways that science is still uncovering. The supplement industry would love for you to believe that one expensive capsule can replace what nature provides in a whole food. But in most cases, that is simply an educated guess. I would much rather see you eat the actual fruit and get the complete nutritional package that comes with it. So here is what I want you to do this week. These are 5 simple, practical steps you can start the very next time you go grocery shopping. First, pick up a bag of frozen mixed berries. At a minimum, make sure it contains blueberries and strawberries. If you can find black raspberries, even better. They can be fresh, frozen, or even freeze dried in powder form. Aim for a handful each day. Add them to your breakfast, blend them into a smoothie, stir them into yogurt, or simply enjoy them as a snack. Consistency matters more than perfection. Second, place a container of prunes somewhere visible in your kitchen. Put it on the counter, near the coffee maker, or anywhere you pass regularly throughout the day. Then, make it a habit to eat 5 or 6 prunes daily. This may sound simple, but it works because we naturally eat what we see. Healthy foods hidden in the back of a cupboard often stay there. When nutritious choices are within reach, you are much more likely to make them part of your routine. Third, start adding mango to your meals throughout the week. Fresh mango is wonderful when it is in season, but frozen mango works just as well and is often more convenient. A serving of about half a mango at a time is plenty. Enjoy it as a snack, add it to smoothies, toss it into a fruit bowl, or pair it with a meal. The goal is to make it a regular part of your weekly eating pattern rather than an occasional treat. Fourth, whenever possible, eat these fruits with a small amount of healthy fat. This could be a spoonful of yogurt, a handful of nuts, a few slices of avocado, or even a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil as part of the meal. Research suggests that many of the beneficial polyphenols and plant compounds found in fruits are absorbed more effectively when a little fat is present. In other words, pairing fruit with healthy fat helps your body get more value from every bite. A bowl of fruit by itself is still healthy, but combining it with a healthy fat may allow you to unlock even more of its potential benefits. And fifth, this final point is extremely important and not optional. None of these foods replace medical screening or professional healthcare. These fruits are tools for prevention. They help support your body's natural repair systems and provide nutrients that may contribute to long-term health. However, they are not treatments for diseases that already exist. That means you should continue following recommended screening schedules. Keep your colonoscopy appointments. Stay up to date with mammograms and other preventive tests your doctor recommends. And if you ever notice warning signs, such as a new lump, unexplained bleeding, persistent changes in your health, unusual fatigue, or weight loss that happens without trying, do not assume that eating more fruit will solve the problem. Those symptoms deserve medical attention. Reach out to your healthcare provider promptly and get evaluated. The goal of these foods is to help stack the odds in your favor before problems develop, not to replace diagnosis or treatment when something is already wrong. The big picture is simple. Build these fruits into your routine, eat them consistently, pair them with healthy fats, and view them as part of a larger strategy for protecting your health. Small actions repeated every day can have a surprisingly powerful impact over the years. That is how prevention works, not through one miracle food or one magic supplement, but through steady habits that nourish and support your body over time.